So we are here with the Agent Growth Hub, myself and Ed Stroud. The Novaks are off vacationing right now, so they won't be joining us today. Today is a topic that I think me and Ed are both excited. I hope you guys are as well, which is becoming the leader you look up to. And this was something that we joked earlier that, we could talk for maybe an hour about, what we've done right, and then another 10 hours about what we didn't. And I think this is going to be a great session to really talk about what we've done and what we think works to become the person that you're trying to become. And I think most of us we're still trying to become those people. When it comes to this Ed, becoming the leader you look up to. What's the first thing that comes to your mind that you would do if you're someone that's saying, "Hey, I want to grow, and I want to grow in the right way"?
Well, I think the big thing is, number one, what goes through my mind is, who is the leader that you look up to right now, right? There's somebody in your life that you say that was a leader. Early on in my life, that was my father. And I'm sure several of you have that similar situation, a family member, maybe a good best friend or a friend of yours, but who's that leader that you truly look up to right now? And I think some of those things change over life because you hit certain marks in your life, and now you need that next person to grow with. But then I think, obviously, it's if you've got a leader you're looking up to, my next question would be is, how much time are you spending with that person, right? I think time with is a huge piece to this, and how you want to grow. So you've found the person that you do want to be like, and the question is how often how much time are you spending with that person? One of my good friends always said, and I think this is a quote I've carried with me for a long time, leadership is not a birthright, it's an educated profession. So just because maybe my father, I'll go back to my dad, just because he was a great leader and I saw that in him, doesn't mean it automatically transferred over to me because I've got the same bloodline, right? I learned not because I was the same bloodline, but because of being around him so much and watching him make the decisions in life and how to address certain issues. So I think that's a key piece, is to live by that motto and understand that leadership is not a birthright, but an educated profession. And we're wanting to educate ourselves. And that's why we're here today.
Yeah, and one of the things you said there that I think is huge is we talked a little bit before about before we were on the call about needing to look at like what are we reading. And I think of like John Maxwell has a lot of great leadership books, and in one of them he talks about the law of the lid. And I think in different times in our lives I've run into it where I had a leader in my world that my lid was higher than theirs. I needed to go somewhere else where I was able to, grow up and not be pushed down by the lid that they had in place. And I think the other thing is looking at, what do we actually like? What is a leader? A leader is, what do they say? If you're a leader and nobody's following you, you're just taking a walk. So a leader is not a position, because a lot of times I think we get confused about leadership and position. And a leader is just somebody that people follow. The leader can be the person cleaning the toilets in the office. They could be a leader because people follow them. And I always try to look at like who are people following. I remember going to I'm going to talk about Eric Hatch a little bit, because I remember going and meeting a bunch of his people, and not everybody will say everybody's perfect, but like I noticed a lot of people had like thought really highly of him. They trusted him. They wanted to be around him, and that actually attracted me to him. I said, because these people, he's not there. They're behind his back, and they're saying good things behind his back instead of bad things. And I said, okay, that tells me like there's something with this guy. There's something he's doing that's making these people want to follow him. And I know that's been something I've always used as a tool to try to figure out, okay, like who do I want to follow? Because we talked about it before. I've followed people that I thought were going in the right direction, and then realized that their motives were not the right, really the right motives. Um, I mean, what are your thoughts, Ed?
Well, I'm just curious right now what are everybody else's thoughts on leadership and what you're seeing, and are you on a path to trying to find out how to be a better leader, and what are you doing to do that, right? Uh, I'd like to see or hear some feedback on that from all of you all. So Todd, Jen, Anna, Emerald, tell us what you're seeing in your world and what you're trying to accomplish. Todd did it
I'll go
first.
first. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the call and the value you guys provide. To answer your first question, am I trying to grow? Absolutely. I think we all are in some area of leadership within our profession, our industry, our business. I think the other compelling part of this whole question is there's a void of leadership in so many aspects of our industry and our business right now too, which creates a lot of opportunity. So I think it's like any other part of our businesses where we're improving our skills, our ability to serve our clients, our strategic, our mindset, all that stuff. And leadership is just an extension of all those other things that we aspire to be and improve. And it's a journey and a path, and we're never perfect by any means.
Todd, what's your situation as far as, are you a team leader? What solo agent?
I've got a very unique business model. It'd probably take the whole call to explain it, but basically, there's a lot of roles and functions that I serve, but a lot of it is in an ISA role where, I'm not selling, but I'm making a lot of calls, a lot of outbound calls, a lot of relationships, and utilizing our technology.
Nice, nice. Who else has some info?
I think Jim has some. Sorry.
Jen does? Come on, Jen. He called you out. You've got some great leaders in your office.
Yeah, I was just jotting down some notes to summarize my thoughts on it. But I think, yes, I'm always trying to be a leader and a better leader every day. I have the opportunity to be on leadership in my team, kind of for our entire team, and then also in a mini partnership with Emerald. And so for me, I think a really true leader is somebody who has extreme ownership of all of their actions and what they are putting out for the people around them to absorb, right? So everybody is culpable of bad decisions, and a true leader is somebody who has the awareness and authenticity to say, yes, that could have been done better. Let's take forward steps and do better next time. So if you're a good leader, you aren't trying to put blame somewhere else or shirk something that you truly actually did. I think that that's really important for leadership. Being openly authentic, right? So making sure that the people around you fully feel why you're doing what you're doing and understand completely what your motivations are. Like you said, Jim, you eventually come to know people's true motivations. If they weren't what they appeared, then that's a false leader. I also think you need to welcome true feedback from everybody in your circle. Leaders will be able to respond accordingly and authentically with everybody. And I think that it requires a lot of holistic empathy, because we're not the top ever. There's always somebody in our circle, if you're doing it right, that's leading you to. And you have to be able to empathize in every direction, empathize with people who are your subordinates or people who maybe are not at the same level you are, and figure out where they're at and kind of try and operate in a way that can help lead them, guide them. But similarly, you have to empathize with those who are doing it at a higher level than you. So if you're wanting or needing something and you're not getting what you need, you have to really think first, where are they at? What can they actually do? How can they provide that for me? And then act accordingly. If you're able to do that in every direction with the circle of people around you, you are embodying what a true leader truly is.
I love it. I love it. So you said something there that I really liked, and I've said this a million times, the old Boy Scouts coming out in me. To be a good leader, you also have to be able to be led, right?
Yes,
And that's
definitely.
what you were saying in the middle of that. And I love that part. So you can't just be the rock star at the top and nobody else is better. And you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You have to be real. I love all that.
But I think one thing that this all reminded me of is just that we also have different leaders in different areas of our lives that we follow. Like, I'm not going to go follow any one person in every area of my life because most people are probably crushing one area, maybe two of their lives. So, like, I'll give you like Novak's a good example from a health leader. Like, he's somebody who I watched what he did. He was willing to tell me maybe there's a better way of what you could do. Never talked down to me, but he led me in a direction. So I wanted to follow him and do what he did. And that he helped me on my health journey by doing that. But if he if he managed me around that or did it like he had no the other thing I think is he had like when we have our motive is profit, people can feel that and see that and smell that. And like profit is a byproduct like if you're a great leader, I think you need to have the ability to have people out succeed you. That's a win. For many years, that was not a win for me. Today, it's a win. Somebody makes more money than me, sells more houses than me, like becomes healthier than me. Like that's a win. Like I became a great coach. I became a great leader. And it kind of ties into like ego and being humble is like probably the biggest thing about being a great leader is being willing to, Jen said it, like you got to be willing to admit that you're wrong and be willing to own up to whatever you did. And you got to be willing to be okay with not everybody liking you. Like that's a hard one because for many years I needed every client, every agent, every person in my world to think I was awesome. So which requires me to be a different person for every person, which is not healthy. I think it was I can't remember who said it. They said if you want everyone to like you, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. Like it's
That was a Ben Kinney comment, I think.
yeah, I don't know where it came from. I just know that it's something that's in my head. I just don't want to take it as my quote because I don't have a whole lot of original stuff going on. But I think a great leader is really, really humble. And that's what I look for in a leader is somebody who is humble and is willing to learn. They're a reader. A great leader is a great reader. Like is somebody who's going to continue to read and study other people to become better. And if we're not willing to do that, we are never going to grow. Like if we're not humble enough to look at other people as, maybe knowing something that we don't know that we can learn from. Because I know every person on this call, anybody who's listening to this, like they know multiple things that I don't know that I can learn from. My 11-year-old daughter knows things like Scrabble better than me. Like there's a lot of things that I can be humbled at and know that other people are better than me at.
I think you mentioned something about how you don't have to be liked. There's a lot of hard stuff like in this world and in our profession and what we do. And the right call is not always the easy call or the popular call to make. And being willing to do that and garner dislike or the bearer of tough news or giving tough love to the people around you is it's an honor and a privilege and a hardship all at the same time, and you have to be willing to do that. That's going to erase the fluffy feelings sometimes, but a true leader is going to do what needs to be done for their sake and for the sake of those around them.
Yeah, I had a coach who told me like I was worried about how something was going to affect a person. And they're like, you need to worry about how that affects the entire business, because that affects a lot of people. And there's going to be somebody that doesn't like you sometimes, because you have to make a decision. You have to tell, I mean, if you have kids, especially teenage kids, like you got to have conversations that are going to be hard. They're going to hate you. But you know that they're the right thing to do. And the same thing with team members. If we don't keep people accountable to what they're looking to do, are we really a good leader? No, we're more worried about if people like us than if they actually succeed at their goals, which is super selfish.
You said something earlier I thought was interesting as well, Jim, and that's titles don't invoke leadership, right? Positions don't invoke leadership. And I'm sure we've all been in that situation from time to time over our lifespan that somebody got a promotion, somebody got a title that was over you, and all of a sudden it was like they weren't leading, they were talking down to you almost a lot of times, and just barking orders, and never thought that was true leadership by any means. And again, they've probably never been in those positions and they don't know how to lead yet. And I see that even in our own organizations where we bring people into our organization and we can see they want to be a leader, they just don't know how to be a leader, right? And the first thing we do is try to help shape them and mold them and say, that's not how we lead around here. And titles to us mean nothing. I've seen people with no position, no title, no nothing, sway a room one way versus the top leaders in that room swaying it another way. And it is influence, it is knowledge, it's it's that way in whatever we're in. Maybe it's a city council meeting, maybe it's a team meeting, maybe it's I'm sure the Congress and everybody else uses that influence and that power to lead. Unfortunately, they don't have humility involved in that typically, but but those are characteristics you definitely need for sure.
I think, Jen, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm curious if Anna or Emerald have anything to chime in here, because they operate within our organization as well. And I feel like our organization likes to have everyone lead in some capacity. So,
Right.
Ladies.
Hit unmute first, Anna. Sorry. I would say, I've been with the Novak team for about 6 months, and I think that they do have a collaborative team that anyone, doesn't matter really what your position is, anyone's able to jump in and offer advice or solution for you. I've even actually seen and observed Anna do that, who is, I would think you have about a year under your belt on our team, but as we've onboarded new team agents over the last month or so, I'm seeing Anna really jump in and stretch her skill set, offering role plays, offering feedback and guidance, coaching for offers. Like, I think that when I think of the development that Anna has had and the way that our team approaches things, it's allowed her to shine and be kind of a beacon for the new baby agents. And then for myself, looking at Jen and the Novaks themselves, I think that Jen hit the nail on the head. Being open and being vulnerable, having those tough conversations and pushing through. I think for all of us who are new agents, having a strategy for your onboarding and having that rigorous follow-up to make sure that the benchmarks that are being met and that your person is leveling up and not becoming stagnant in their position, because production becomes, I think Rachel spoke to this last week, is like, production takes over the SOPs and now everybody's running, but there's no guidance to really make sure that we have those strong foundations established. So it's been a really coming into real estate, different industry. I think it's really important to have a close tie with your agents as they're onboarding, to check and inspect. In my past life, we used to say, if you expect it, you need to inspect it, right? So I think the team's really done a great job with that. And it doesn't matter what member you are on the team, how new you are, everyone's here to lead and guide and be a support.
Great stuff.
Thank you, Emerald, for the kind words. I think you nailed it all that I wanted to say. But one thing that I took away from you, Ed, was when you said that leadership is something that you're not born with, it's something that you're acquiring. And that really hit it for me because I am a natural S. I am not a natural leader. And it's something that I really had to step up and learn to do the last couple of months. So, yeah, I really resonate with that.
Well, it's uncomfortable and I see it in any organization I'm in, and I belong to a lot of different organizations. But obviously, our Stroud organization, where we're at, I see it here a lot. I see it from a scouting side. I do a lot in the scouting world, and we're teaching young boys who are a little shy. Maybe they're a high S, and they're not just naturally going to go out and do that. And I think we're teaching people to do right, not wrong. That's being a leader, right? I think being vulnerable, like we said earlier, that shows leadership skills because we know everybody's not perfect. Some people try to keep that perfect element about, like, I don't do anything wrong, and they think that's good leadership when it's not. And I feel like there's too many people out there like that. It's like star mentality, right? Like Taylor Swift mentality of perfect, right? So I think people are wrong, and I think that's why Mike and Rachel and Eric Hatch and Jim as well. I mean, I think our group, the beauty in our group and why we've gravitated together so much is because we lead a lot in the same way, and we're honest, we're humble, we know when we make mistakes. We're just open about it, and people trust us. And I think trust is another key word in this whole element. If you can't trust the leader, then you probably got somebody that's just charismatic at that point and makes you feel good. But if you can't trust them, there's probably another side to that that's kind of weird. And I've seen that in the past where I'm like, I like this person, man, they set me on fire, but I don't know, there's something about them, right? And my relationship with Jim and my relationship with the Novaks I trust them 100%. They're never gonna do something that makes me feel weird. It's like, what are you doing over there? No, their leadership has been 100% spot on, and that's why we have that relationship, and it just grows and makes us all better leaders. That's probably the same why you have the same reason you have people on your teams the same way. It's like I see our leaders and I want to be just like them or better than them even at some point. And that's what we want as well on our side. So yeah, it's I don't know. I've seen both sides of it. I've seen people with titles try to strike you down almost, and then I see other people that you gotta care about people. I think that's another big piece. You just gotta care about people. And if you don't care about people and you're only in it for your own good, then that shows early on for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a huge one. I mean, if you're not losing sleep when somebody in your world's not succeeding, your heart's not in it.
Right.
And I think you said it, Ed. Like, I think about it when I think of like you, the Novaks, Hatch, and all these different people. Like nobody's in a different like we all treat each other as equals.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we're all together, our teams, like all of us together, like there's not like there's different tiers of prestige or all that crap. It just doesn't happen that way, and kind of ties into one thing that may not be a definition of a leader, but is for me. A leader is a servant.
Oh yeah.
The leader is serving their people, and I think of like one little thing that I like to do when I like to see, like, when I'm out with somebody, like an interview. It's nice to go to like a coffee shop or something like that. And, like I remember I was meeting with an agent and, I watched, something fall and he got right up, he went and picked it up. And that little thing it may seem simple, but he's leading in a way. He's showing his true character and who he is. It tells you the whole story, because I also have hired people in the past who would not have done that. And they would have maybe even told one of the persons that worked there that, hey, that thing fell, you should go pick it up. And that is that, when I always say, whenever I see somebody that's looking up to somebody, they're also looking down to somebody. and there's no way to successfully lead if you feel like people are better or less than you. So it's something I always try to look in the mirror. Like if I'm idolizing somebody, I'm most likely looking down on somebody, which means whoever I'm looking down to, how am I leading them if I look down on them?
Right.
So hopefully nobody's reflecting on that and saying, "Oh crap, Jim just talked about me." But
Well, anybody that's faith-based definitely has that mindset to start with, right? And that may not be everybody, and that's okay. But that servant leadership is definitely something that's instilled in me for sure, and you as well. I know, Jim. So
yeah, well, and that was what attracted me to Hatch. And I mean, he has his book there, "Play for the Person Next to You," where a lot of it is we're going to help each other, or like I even think of like Dave Ramsey book, Entre Leadership. It's all about servant leadership. So when I'm reading books about leadership, I know I try to guide to authors that are talking about those words like servant, as leadership, because if you're just leading from the back like one of those old school generals and everybody else is getting killed in the front, I want a leader who's literally like trying to run to the front and be the first one out there to fight the battle and fight with their people. That's a true leader.
So what are some little things day to day you're trying to do to show leadership within, whether it's within the business or your family, or what are some things that you're trying to make sure that you're doing daily? Honesty, all the trust stuff, I get all that, but how are you becoming a better leader right now in your world? What are you reading, like Jim was saying earlier?
I have regular conversations with my husband about leadership because he doesn't work in our world whatsoever, but he is in leadership in his industry, in his company. And a lot of the stuff that we talk about here and digest and kind of go through, I share with him. And it's really fun to watch him share that with his team and make a thumbprint and impact on his team. For example, Relentless by Tim Grover is one of my favorite self-dev books that we've read on our team. And also Liz Wiseman's work as well about the impact player, that one. We've talked about these things and let's see, Widget. So those sorts of things. And it's really cool to go over it and talk with people in your world that maybe aren't part of your actual organization about how you can better what you're doing, how you've shared things that were impactful and takeaways, and continually mind meld with other leaders that are not so much in your proximity, but you have similarities with. Your organizations operate similarly and have similar directives. So I think that that's something I like to do. It keeps me sharp, keeps me fresh, and then we can kind of grow with each other. The other thing I really try and do is anything within my organization or with anybody on my team, I'll never ask anybody to do something I'm not willing to do first. And I think if I ask somebody to do something, I'm going to already be doing it or have done it or be willing to hop in and do it shoulder to shoulder so that they know that, hey, this is just what we do. And I'm not trying to direct you like a boss. We're in a team situation. We're partners, even from an ISA to an agent to admin to anybody. So that's a daily thought for me. It's like, I wouldn't ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do first, right? It could just be, I need two bodies or, this is something we need to work on in tandem. That sort of. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Keith? It's the CEOs that's not willing to clean the toilets is not going to last in the world.
Right. What are you taking away here, Keith? What do you got?
So I think just thinking about the different leaders I've been around, I came from corporate world into this industry here, and you guys already brought it up. There were two different kind of leaders I think that I saw in the corporate world. There were the ones that thought that title was leadership, and then there were the ones that prioritized the people under them and their growth as what I found was the true leaders. So I was fortunate to have a great leader in my last role at the last job I was in, and he came to me and he wanted to know, what do you want to get out of this job? Where do you want to go? And he prioritized my growth before his own, understanding that if I grew, he did too. But I think that's one of the biggest qualities I see in a leader, and I see it in Jim as well, is prioritizing the growth of the people under you, and they're going to bring you up. So
I love it.
What about any of the other guys who are not not on camera? We got a few of you there. Emmy or Tara.
I feel like you called me out as I was turning it on.
Nice.
So I am a team member and we're a really small team, which I rather enjoy, but I have, as I'm listening, I'm kind of taking the pieces and like reflecting on other leaders that I've had, leaders that I have now, which are awesome, and just things that as we grow, I liked what Jen was saying about how they have even their new people, Jen and Emerald were saying, even their new people like are mentoring with their newer agents and kind of things that I can do as we bring new agents on to be a leader without being the leader. And just kind of being that middleman and someone that newer agents can look up to, but I still have my mentors that I'm looking up to. So just kind of how to balance that and keeping track of everything.
Tara, we call that, and again, I go back to my scouting days because that's where I learned a lot of leadership skills, but we call that lead by example, right? So you can say a lot without saying a darn thing. Just by showing up and having the positive energy and actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, that makes other people feel uncomfortable, and then they have to say, okay, well, Tara's doing it, so I guess I'll jump in, right?
Yeah. Lead by example. I like that.
Yeah. Uh-oh, here's Emmy. She's gonna give us some good stuff. Come on.
I actually, when we were talking about this, I was thinking about the book Relentless as well. I feel like my brain always goes back to sports. You have a coach, and a lot of times, like, say the coach and the player go one-on-one, like the player's going to probably beat the coach every time, but it is really important to have like that one person who is leading the team and like lighting the fire under everybody else's butts and knowing how to like help everybody else with their individual strengths. I feel like that makes a really good leader because everyone is different. Everyone is going to have their own niche or like they're going to play their game their own way. And then you can say like Kobe Bryant, he didn't even tell anyone to do anything. He just did what he was going to do. And he's like, if you want to be like me, like this is what you do. But he didn't actually have to tell anyone. He just kind of led by example.
I love it. Kobe Bryant. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys have seen any series on him or read any books about Kobe, but the fact that he sought out great leaders to make himself better. I mean, look at what his relationship with Michael Jordan and just he was like the little brother that Michael was swatting away, going, "Stop it, go away." And Kobe just kept coming at him and wanting more and yeah. So that sometimes I feel that way about different people. I want to be in their worlds, and I'm finding how can I get there, and they keep saying no, and it's like, all right, you can keep saying no, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to find a way. And I had somebody that's coming to Real this last week, and she told me, she said, you know, I interviewed you 5 years ago on a podcast thing, and I thought you were pretty cool then. She said, at that point, if you remember, I said, one of these days we are going to work together. And now she's coming to Real with a big team, and she's like, I told you. And it's like, that's kind of cool, seeing that leadership come together. And now we're doing some stuff together as well. So I think you have to be relentless to be around the people you want to be around. And don't just look at how rich they are or just, you know, maybe they're popular. It truly is, who do I want to be? Not just leadership wise, even human wise. Who's the person I want to become? And those are the people I want to be around, right? And I think a lot of those people are true leaders automatically. So
I think there's people and our other people. I mean, we have Sharon. I mean, as a leader.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, somebody who's just really smart, could have a huge ego, but he's one of the most humble leaders, but probably one of the most powerful leaders I know. And he's like I always try to think of how approachable he is, how comfortable you are just to have a conversation with the guy versus, you know, a CEO of another company. And that, like, I think he exemplifies what leadership is. And I think he's where he is because he's that type of leader that he's looking to figure out, how do I help everybody succeed?
Good
I have a fun
leaders
story about
typically
Sharon.
have. Oh,
Fun story about Sharon. So I went home to visit my husband's in-laws in February, and my husband's grandmother passed away right at the beginning of the year. And so his parents are dealing with her house and things like that. And my father-in-law asked me, you know, what do I do as far as getting it sold? And I'm not as integrated with real brokers in my husband's hometown. So I reached out to a couple of like Katie Day and a few people who might know, have a bigger network than me in that area. And I reached out to Sharon, and it was probably about 7 p.m. He messaged me back immediately. He had a name of an agent for me immediately. And then he did a personal text message, group text between the two of us. By 9 p.m., this agent was already reaching out, and then we scheduled a call in the morning to talk about it. And that's amazing. The CEO of our company reached out and said, hey, can you take care of Jen and her family? They're going through some hard stuff, and you could really be a help with them. I know you can. That's amazing. Like, I can't imagine any other CEO of a brokerage doing that for you within 2 hours. So that is true leadership. Like, he truly cares and wants to make sure that we're okay.
And that's it right there. That is leadership. He's a servant leader. He served you. He helped you. He didn't say like, hey, I'm too important, I'm too busy, I'm whatever. That I don't even see him ever believing that to be true. And that's powerful stuff. And I would challenge anybody who's on this who to really do what Ed did, what Ed talked about, which is, you know, be that annoying little brother or sister and go like seek out a leader in an area you're looking to grow and really go find them and find someone who really exemplifies that. And at the same time, you talked about some books too, is find a book on leadership that ties into what type of leader you want to become. You know, and it could be the same person, could be the author of the book, but for me, I always try to seek out anything that's talking about servant leadership. I don't think you can read too many leadership books. I probably read 20 or 30 different books on leadership.
good stuff. I like how Sharon communicates. He's also a great leader because of how he communicates. He just breaks stuff down and makes it super simple for his people to understand, and I think that helps. It intrigues people to want to learn from him as well. So
I think that was all I had here today to chat with about leadership. Did anybody have anything else or anything else they wanted to learn here today or hear here today that they didn't?
yeah, what do we miss? Anything? If we missed it, we all missed it together, right?
People can watch it later, and if we miss some stuff, let us know.
Yeah.
But I think we can end early if we don't have anything left.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. Good conversations between all of you. That's what I like about this group too.
Well, have an awesome week, and we'll see everybody same time next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
No doubt.
I was gonna say it.
I did it for you.
See you, gang.